anxiety, right? Like before the big events. How do you deal with it, right?
So I have already told you I dealt it with pressure badly. I was never an expert in dealing with pressure well. You know, you always associate athletes with self-belief and confidence and this, that and the other. My sport was a lonely sport, as you could imagine. It's a very individual pursuit. But in my 22 years of sport, I always had a constant companion. And my constant companion was actually self-doubt. Because I was an extremely analytical human being, I would always question. So even when I was doing really well, my first thing was what went wrong and what could I do better, which helped me to push myself, but it was also limiting me because I was never satisfied. I was chasing perfection, which was good in a way because it pushed me, but chasing perfection is also like chasing an untamable beast, which kind of limited me to become confident, because at the end of the day, you have to take that leap of faith. So this confidence game never worked for me. The self-belief game never worked for me as a person because of just being overly analytical as a human being. But my breakthrough came when I decided on one particular day in my sports career that instead of chasing self-belief, from one day to the other, I started chasing self-respect. And that changed everything for me. How did I chase self-respect? I chased self-respect by showing up every day, by trying to be the best that I could be every day. The Olympics came every day for me, not once every 4 years. And it was really just to try and give my best every single day. Every night before I went to bed, I asked myself a difficult question: did I give it my best today?
Okay.
And on days when I did, I always had a good night's sleep. And I learned that hard work was the best sedative that you could get. But just like that, slowly but surely, I gained self-respect. When I went to Beijing, before I went to Beijing, I asked myself again the question: have I done everything humanly possible to prepare for the Olympics in Beijing? Could I do anything more to put myself in my best possible position to be at my best? And the honest answer was I couldn't do anything better. And there, before I even shot my first Olympic competition shot, I had already won. I had already won in my own eyes, in front of my own self. And that was very powerful because it made me a very secure person, that no matter what the outcome, I will always have pride in my effort, and I would always have pride in my journey, and that I gave it all that it asked of me. And that is how I dealt with anxiety. My journey to attain self-respect kind of helped. But also, I mean, in terms of pressure, everybody faces pressure.
Right.
I felt pressure all my life. And I think it is about realizing that you can't run away from pressure. I think the best what you can do is accept pressure. Don't resist it anymore. Because again, human nature is, because pressure is uncomfortable, we try and resist it. We try and find ways I want to relax and I simply want to get rid of this pressure. But you have to actually learn to coexist with it and find your own personal strategy on how you can best coexist with it. And for me, it was this whole aspect of self-respect. Also, the ability to kind of stay in the moment and to remain present is a very powerful tool to deal with pressure. And that is a simple thing I ask of you, to kind of be mindful and practice mindfulness. It's a simple thing to ask, but difficult to do. It's not an easy thing to stay really present, especially in today's day and age where there's so much distraction. We can't live without our phone for two minutes. We feel uncomfortable. But it is a practice. It is a practice, not just... it's a way of life that you have to adopt. So when you're speaking to somebody, really remain present to that conversation. If you're watching a movie, remain present to that, watching that movie. If you're drinking a glass of water, remain present to it. If you're having lunch, enjoy the food that you're having. So, but that slowly but surely rewires your mind and your brain to really kind of give this particular moment the best and the most that you can. Otherwise, what we're always doing is we're living in the past, which are memories, or we're living in the future, which is imagination. And we forget the only reality that really exists, which is the here and now. Yeah. So just the ability to stay here and now is a powerful tool to deal with pressure and anxiety. And these are a few things that I did, which really kind of built the resilience to be able to coexist with pressure. The pressure never went away.
And as they say, pressure is a privilege, So very few people get that kind of pressure, and it's a privilege, right? I mean, if you are feeling the pressure, you are sure doing something which is important, which matters, right? So
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Although I'd like to have a life without it, but
all of us would.
there is no running away from it.
No, I'll take this key takeaway as like a coexist with the pressure, That is the best thing. However, we don't want pressure. Pressure is always there,
Yeah. Do you, like, how do you, I love the way you articulate your idea, right? I was last night probably watching like 3 hours of your various, interviews that you gave to Gaurav Kapoor, Preeti Singh, all of it, right? When did you start? I mean, I still have to see people who are as good as an articulation as you have, right? So, where do you do, how do you, do you use AI for it?
But good idea that you've given me so that I can prepare better for my next little thing that I do. No, I haven't, but I'm sure you haven't seen my videos 10 years before. I was terrible at it. I couldn't speak 2 words. And I hated any kind of interaction, but it just came. I think I always have to, communication while I was competing wasn't a forte. External environment and then the external noise, which kind of made my whole focus very inward. So I was not a very good communicator, at least while I was competing. But I think that changed over a period of time. And I think just remaining open and sharing my own stories helped me communicate it better, because I'm as vulnerable as anybody else, and I like to share not just the great things that I did, but I also like to share my own difficult moments, and I also like to share my own vulnerabilities, my own tryst with self-doubt and anxiety and things like that, because that kind of, that comes then naturally, because I'm just trying to tell you my authentic self, right? I'm not trying to make up some story here. So I think that helps.
The last question, right? So what advice would you give it to us, as a parent, as as a future for the sports, right? What advice would you give?
As a parent, I don't know. I don't have kids, but what I can tell you is what my parents did. Of course, my parents and my family were my greatest supporters, and they supported me materially, and they provided for me at a time and era in Indian sport where there was no access, there was no infrastructure, there was nothing available. So that was, of course, a great contribution. But their greatest contribution that my parents made was their ability to let me make my own mistakes, because that was absolutely necessary in my growth. Because at the end of the day, when I was on the field of play and I had to shoot the last Olympic competition shot to win the gold medal, my parents couldn't pull the trigger for me, nor could my coaches. I had to find that courage and conviction from deep within myself. And that can only come when, over a period of time, when you grow as a person, you learn to win. And that story happens, that learning happens when you kind of take ownership of your journey. And that is they allowed me that space very early on in my life, where I had to take all decisions, of course, with the help of my coaches and experts that I was working with. So that was something which was very, very important. Secondly, what the role that was played was failure in my environment was never looked down upon. It was absolutely okay to fail. It was important to give your best and to put in your best possible effort. But failure was not something which was looked down upon at all. I had a very psychologically safe environment at home. On days when I felt hopeless, and there were plenty of days such as that, my family continued to see a lot of hope in me even on such days. And they always gave me that confidence and belief when I didn't have it from within myself. So those are the couple of things I think which I really am grateful for, and the role that my parents played was very immense. On what possible advice I could give all of you, I don't know. I mean, I brought the spirit of work to play, and I could only encourage all of you to bring the spirit of play to work, because I think that will help you build camaraderie. It'll help you build teamwork. It'll help you build friendships. It'll help you build relationships. And I think most importantly, it will keep that childlike enthusiasm alive in your journey, which hopefully will be a long and very successful journey. But to keep that energy and to keep that enthusiasm sustainable for a long period of time, I think that enthusiasm and that childlike energy is very, very, very important to bring to the table. So bring that spirit of play to work.
Thank you. We said true Tudipian spirit, so spirit to bring. Any questions?
One last thing I wanted to ask. What do you read? What do you watch?
Oh, I watch anything and everything from Netflix to shows to everything. Reading, I like to read autobiographies. As I said, I like real life stories, so I like to read autobiographies of athletes, politicians, scientists, etc. So that's the area of interest.
So when I used to always say, anyone ever asked, do you play sports? I used to say, I talk sports. Because I cannot play, but I can talk in terms of data. I can talk.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. But you personified.
I met you before and you could have been my data scientist.
I would have loved that. But you personified every single point of it, wherein you were data driven right way before, in Indian sports. I do not know much back then, but Indian sports became data driven way later. Or, now that we have access to way more stuff, I realize how data driven sports is. But my question to you is slightly different. What kept you going? Like, Olympics happened 4 years, and a lot of us see a dip in, the tenacity to go every single day, to keep going, where maybe there were days that were probably not so great. There were days which were great, of course. How did you keep going? And that's
No, I think that's a good question. And I think when you have a goal like the Olympic Games, the troubles with those goals are that, as you rightly said, it comes only once in 4 years. So I think it's goal setting is important, and I think what is equally important to set some smaller goals along the way. And that is exactly what I did. And that helped me remain motivated. It helped me remain on track. And while the bigger goal was there, which was always to do well at the Olympics, but having smaller goals along the ways, having things that I wanted to achieve from a performance point of view as well, and from an outcome point of view as well. And those are two very different things, because performance in sport is so complicated because it is a culmination of many factors coming together on a particular day. But you could always set goals that, hey, I want to work on my mental performance, I want to work on my physical performance, I want to work on some area of my technique. So those are performance goals to have. And then there are also outcome goals that you could put into play. Hey, I want to shoot such a score. I want to win a certain competition, etc., etc. So I set both sorts of goals, performance-related goals, but also outcome-related goals, which helped me remain centered. It helped me remain motivated when the bigger goal was still far away.
Thank you, sir, for the insights. I would like to ask, in this VUCA world, so everything is vulnerable and changing. So people are looking for some work-life balance, where they are completely obsessed with the goals, what the goal setting the organization gives, and they forget about the life. So what would you suggest, and how you managed your personal life and the professional life so that can help?
Thank you. It's a wonderful question, and thank you for asking that. I achieved many goals in my life. I became an Olympic champion, I became a world champion, but I failed. I failed in achieving my fullest potential. And I would attribute that failure of mine to the lack of balance that I had as an athlete. All my eggs were in one basket. I was completely obsessed with performance. I simply did not nurture the human for the athlete well enough. I learned it a little late in my career, and that was always a struggle. I always had to remind myself that I had to find that balance. My greatest days as an athlete, as I said, came in 2004. I won in 2008 and I won different events in different times, but the best performer that I was during that period of time. And you know why that was the case? Because that was the only time in my 22 years of my sports career that I had some degree of balance, because I was a student athlete. I was going to college in the United States, and I had to go to work, I had to go to study, I had to take care of everything in the university. I had so many hours to train. I had to, I had different pillars in my life. And then I finished university and I said, hey, I was only able to devote 3 hours or 4 hours a day to sport. And now I'm going to devote 9 hours to sport and I'm going to get better. But that wasn't the case. I didn't really get better. So I didn't do that well enough. And I would encourage each one of you to have a degree of balance. It's easier said than done because, in a working environment, it's demanding, all of that. But just keep it in mind that it is important. I would even start with a very simple thing, which I did as an athlete, which was to maintain something called an energy journal. Okay, so when I used to wake up every morning, it took me 10 seconds. I used to simply, and AI can do it better for you now. And AI can be very useful here. You just simply have to put in how you slept, how you're feeling physically, how you're feeling emotionally, and how you're feeling mentally. And when 10 days pass and you have the low score, then that is just a time that you have to kind of step back and make an intervention to rejuvenate, to do something else, to put your mind to something else. And that just brings a greater degree of focus. It brings more energy, and then you're able to go back to your field of play in a much more refreshed way, in a much more energized way. And I think that is something which is critical for long-term performance and to sustain yourself at a high level for a long period of time.
So thank you so much for very motivating. So I just learned that you said you developed a habit of closing every day, and you developed some habit of closing every day. You evaluate your day goals, and before going to the sleep, you are saying, I have done, I have not done. But I lost the track that when it happened to you, and when you realized that this kind of day planning is necessary in your career.
This happened after Athens. That's when I started to put this. I started to value the effort. I've started to find joy in effort. That was something which was very, very important to me. I give you a small example. I'm often asked about my favorite day in sport. Okay? And, everybody would think, it would be the gold medal that I won at the Olympics. That would be my favorite day in sport. But it isn't. My favorite day in sport actually came one training day. It was the 31st of December. It was very cold. And I had a very tough physical. My trainer was an Australian guy, very tough and very strict. And you all know my relationship with physical fitness wasn't the easiest. So that day I had to do 100 sit-ups. It was the last part of the training session. And at count 95, this trainer miscounted and said to me, "Oh, you're done. Well done. You did a great job. Great closure to the year." I looked back into his eyes and said, "No, I have 5 more to go." And that satisfaction that I had, that there were no shortcuts and there was an honesty of pursuit, made me feel so good about myself. And that day has always stuck with me till date. And when anybody asks me what was my most pleasurable day I felt and how good I felt about myself, that was the day.
हेलो सर, हाय सर, मैं भी एक शूटर ही हूँ।
Oh, very good. Which event?
10 मीटर एयर राइफल।
Oh, excellent.
और अभी
करते हो?
हाँ, अभी भी चालू है।
बालेबाड़ी?
नहीं, सुहा मैम के पास पनवेल।
पनवेल।
हाँ, तो मेरे को कोई सवाल ही नहीं था। मैं बताया पीयर प्रेशर में आ गया कि नहीं तू पूछ ले, कुछ भी पूछ ले, ऐसे करके कोई सवाल नहीं था मेरे को, बस आ गया मैं। और अब आ ही गया हूँ तो एक आप क्या एडवाइस देना चाहोगे कि मैं आगे मतलब इस स्पोर्ट में आगे कैसे डेवलप कर पाऊँ?
अगर आपको इंटरेस्ट है, आपका गोल है, आप करना चाहते हो, आपका ड्रीम है, तो आप उसको गिव इट योर बेस्ट, लगे रहिए, कीप वर्किंग हार्ड. The shortest way to success is simply hard work. There is no other way to it. AI will not be able to shortcut you. It can assist you. AI will not be able to win the medal for you. तो आपको ही करना पड़ेगा. The hard work, AI can assist you. It can empower you, but it can't do it for you. So all that effort you have to put in. But if it is your goal, if you want it badly, if gut से आपको आवाज़ आती है कि हाँ मुझे करना है, तो आप करिए. अगर नहीं आती है आप तभी भी करिए, थोड़ा बहुत इंजॉयमेंट के लिए। वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस की बात कर रहे थे, तो शूटिंग रेंज जाइए टू गेट द बैलेंस।
थैंक यू।
Did you ever have a fallback option? What if this didn't work?
So, I did get an education, so that was helpful. But to be honest, no. And that was tough, and I think, so that's why I carried on. So, I think an interesting, okay, I'll answer it in a different way. When I won in Beijing, while success was wonderful, success was also a crisis. Because the crisis came because, for 15 years of my life, I'd oriented myself to that one moment. I used to go to bed with one dream ki I have to win a gold medal, and then I would wake up every morning to make that dream a reality. अब ये gold medal अब मेरे pocket में पड़ा था. I didn't know what to do. So there was a lot of how do you say it? Kind of
Was there ever a
void.
complacency? Okay,
No, it was a void. That there was no clarity on what I wanted to do next. And actually, I wanted to leave shooting that time. And I said, now I've won the gold medal. I want to leave on a high, and I'll do something else. So I went on the Vipassana meditation course, wanting to know my next calling. What is my fallback on, as you asked. So I go on to Vipassana to kind of know my new calling. और मैं Vipassana meditation में गया, only thing I could think back was to shooting. So that aspect energized me because I learned that I really loved what I did, and that brought me back for more. So to be honest, I didn't really have a fallback. I did have an education, and I could go back and do something. My transition out of sport was somewhat smooth, but at that time when I was really an athlete, that is what my world entails. There was nothing else that was in my worldview. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. With that, I believe we'll wrap this.